All right, that's enough music. I think we are ready. Got my makeup on. Yeah, let's go. Murph, I'll see you on the other side, brother.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets. We can all be beautiful.
You're in the danger zone.
Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride.
Danger Zone. What is up, Murph? Hey, if you are joining us tonight, thank you. A little bit later than usual. Appreciate you guys hanging out. I know Jets Worldwide normally normally runs right before us. They went early today, so if you're here, that means you went and you came back. So appreciate you guys. Spike that like. Murph, what's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on? It is another Feel Good Friday, another night in the danger zone, just hanging out. All the guys, we already got guys rolling in here. Appreciate all you guys. Thanks for coming in. And hey, we're just down to talk some ball, man. Just hang out, have a couple drinks, talk some ball.
I like it, dude. I like it. I love it. I want some more. Sorry. Forgot where I was. But dude, next Friday, rookies will be in training camp, bro. Next Friday, or I'm sorry, next Saturday. All right, sue me. Next Saturday. But like the thing is, like this is the last really like dry week for news, so to speak. Next week, you're going to start seeing some stuff sprinkling in the news cycle, and then boom, weekend, dude, we're off. We're off and running like a jet should be, right?
That's right. That's right. Gonna take flight. I'm definitely excited to hear. Even if we just get some little clips here or there of some pads hitting each other. Well, I guess I don't know if we'll have pads hitting each other, but dudes just out there sweating, running around and stuff. Like I'm for it, man. Any little something I can get that's football worthy, I'll take it.
Any morsel, man. It's been a dry, like, this is the driest we've ever like we've been weaned off the teat, and we've been withdrawing for like 6 months, man, because Glenn isn't about that. And he said, hey, sink or swim. You're gonna have to feel the new vibe out, and we are, and it seems to be all business. We talked about it before on this show, like what does that mean? Like, Is it more so just there's nothing to hear about, or guys just on their best behavior? Whatever it may be, man. It's just it still leaves us like craving some Jet stuff. So we survived.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we like you said, we well as long as we can make it over the next week, we survived. I I will say, the all business thing, like that's all fine and dandy, but not all businesses succeed. So I'm still I don't want to be the one that's always putting the damper on you, Dane, but like I'm waiting to see how things look, and hopefully they maintain that all business, and then they go into the game and they give them the business in the game.
100%, man, because like we've talked about like how tough this schedule is right out the gate. Like if you do start 2-5, is it still going to be all business? Is Malachi Corley going to still be a little choir boy? You know what I mean? Like all these little caveats, we got to see how they unfold, man. I'm hoping that like I don't know. I don't want to like go down a rabbit hole this early into the show, but like the previous regime was big on the same guys in the same roles, the same impact. Like I'm hoping that Angstrand and Wilkes and Glenn are just like rotating guys. They all deserve playing time. They're all getting chances. We see who is capable of making plays at the end of games. Let's see who is good with their backs against the wall. And then if you start 2-5, guess what? Like that intel, and then maybe you can go 5-2. Because I'll tell you what, man, the second half of that schedule, there's room to make. It wouldn't shock me if we didn't win 3 games in a row on the back half of that schedule. So will it matter? That's another story. But like, there's winnable games.
Yeah, I mean, this is the NFL, man. It's all winnable. I mean, we could surprise me and probably the rest of the world and go freaking 12 wins next year. And Justin Fields is going crazy, and like Aaron Glenn has his team tightened up, and the defense is playing lights out. And there's a world where that could happen. I've been broken heart. I've had they've broke my heart too many times for me to just go into the season and be like, oh, I think we can do it, guys. I think we can get a playoff berth this year. You know what I mean? I got to see it to believe it at this point. I think that there is definitely towards the end of that schedule there are some winnable games, but like I said, every Sunday any team can win. Any given Sunday. Is that what they say? Yeah, any given Sunday. So we'll see how it goes, because it's always the ones that we don't expect to win that will win, and vice versa. And I don't know. I've even tried like psyching myself out when I'm betting on games and being like, oh, you know what? I feel like this team would win or whatever, and so I bet on yeah. Anyway, don't ever take betting advice from me, guys. We don't give out betting advice on this podcast or on this program anyway.
This might be the only Jets YouTube channel not sponsored by blank US. Let me just say it like that. Blank US. We're the only ones not getting our palms greased. And hey, I turned them down for $10K a year. I said no thanks. Going to keep this just a sponsor-free zone, so they can suck it. No, yeah, that last part might not have been true, but hey, I like to think of it that way. Let's see if they try one day to throw a little coin my way, man. I just don't like it. Like gambling, man, it's a slippery slope. I don't know. Yeah, it's a conversation to be had for sure about who to be sponsored by and who not to. But anyways, dude, I skipped right over it, man. How was your work week? Because I'd like to briefly tell you about mine.
It was long and tedious and pretty much the same as always, man. Got home, or well, I got off work today, and I had to go run to the eyeglasses place before they closed, which was like in 30 minutes. So I went there, had to get a replacement set of frames for my kids' glasses. Then I had to go run and pick him up. Then I came back, and then I had to start a dynasty that I was supposed to do like 3 days ago that I'm doing with like 8 other dudes because I got the new NCAA 26 game. I'm really hyped up about that. I'm excited to do that. We're going to do this. I'm not, because they let you do cross-play now between consoles and stuff. Like there's like 3 or 4 Xbox guys and 3 or 4 PlayStation guys. It's pretty crazy. And I was like trying to get all that set up, and then next thing I know, it was like 9 o'clock, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got to get in a shower." So it has been a day, but there's no better way to relax than right here, buddy.
Dude, I was just thinking that too. Like, long week for me as well. Tedious. I am half of my job is kind of administrative based, and then the other half now has been construction. Man, in the field this week, heavy heavy on the latter half. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I had like 11-hour days a piece. Exhausting, man. Without getting too nitty gritty on it. Friday comes, I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the office, man. It's going to be a nice little day. I can prepare for this show. Not how it played out, man. I had anybody out there will probably somehow be able to relate to this, but let me just say today was filled with septic tank issues. Yeah. So we're kind of winging it tonight, folks. Which hey, we've done in the past. We haven't mentioned it, and it's come out great. Usually, honestly, a show like this, we go into it like, oh, let's do 90 minutes. Next thing you know, we do like 360. So it's just how it works sometimes. But if you have anything, guys, in the chat, maybe guys who will join the chat later that you want to discuss before camp breaks, because that's a big thing this week, next week. If you want to predict something, who's going to win a camp battle, who's not, you got a hot take, you need to get it on wax now. Because like literally 3 days into camp, you're going to start hearing this guy is actually beating this guy, and then it's not a hot take anymore. So call-in line is going to be pinned here shortly. So know that. Bring your camp takes. Like I said, someone going to win the job. Maybe everyone's saying someone's going to win a job, and you don't think they will. Whatever. All I'm saying is whether you want to call in, whether you want to chat a take, or maybe you just have a question for us, throw it, dude. We'll take it tonight more than most nights. And we'll be having an eye out for that as well. Hazel, that's a good one. Yeah. My morning was. My night will not be. How about that? Chris B.
Never misses.
Dude, she bats 1,000. I do what I normally do, though, like bare minimum is throughout the week. Anything I see that I think is noteworthy, I will bookmark. And then on Fridays, I'll gather those up and I'll just throw them at you and get your first take when you read it, and maybe chime in something of my own after. I have a couple of those, and if you have a minute now, I'd like to go through them.
Let's do it. And it will all be new to me.
Yeah, you know what? I know, because every Jet fan's algorithm is slightly different. All right, let's see. First up, I have about 4 or so here. 5 maybe. First up is about Jermaine, and I want to get your thoughts when you read this.
Let's go. I mean, I'm glad that he feels that way, but his doctor might not. That's the problem. It's never the player. The player's always ready to go. They're like, put me in, coach. You still got the cast on your leg. I'll be fine.
So let me ask you, in 10 days or so, are you expecting to see him out there?
Not full participant or anything like that. He'll probably be like on a bike or something. I bet, they're definitely not going to throw him to the wolves yet. I think maybe in a month, but I think that they're going to ease him back in, let his body get back used to being on a football field, and we'll just see where that goes, man. And that's probably the smart move too, man. You gotta get those ligaments and tendons stretched, and the ways that they tend to stretch when you're playing football. You got to ease into that stuff, man. You can't go from 0 to 100 like that.
I'm with you, man. Honestly, the topic of Jermaine Johnson, I think, is going to be a very big story for the 2025 Jets. Um, and it shouldn't be. I don't think this guy should have any pressure on him this year. But, like, who did we sign to spell him? Or who did we sign? Like, last year he went down. We had nobody. We had Clemens. What about this year? Same thing, ain't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. That's an underrated need for the team. Like a third stud. I don't want to say, it doesn't have to be a stud, but a third solid defensive line or edge. Because I don't want to see Clemens again, man. We we need to call up Denver and get our boy back, JFM. That'd be nice, but because that's exactly what he was that guy that was like he's not gonna take over the game. He's not necessarily gonna to be the best player on the field at any given moment or whatever, but he was just rock solid, man, and he made the plays when he needed to. And we need another guy like that to rotate in because obviously Jermaine and Will McDonald are going to have to, rest at some point.
Chris B chimes in some options. Do any of them blow your hair back, Daniel?
Not at all. Not at all. I guess we'll wait and see what we got in Barron. You know what I mean? I was a little optimistic about him, but that doesn't mean that I think he's going to be like a week one high percentage rotational player or making an impact. No, I just think that, maybe a couple years down the road, maybe he can start to slowly get some reps and make his name on the team,
What about this next comment here, Daniel? Chris B, moderator on this channel in the Danger Zone. He carries a wrench. Chris B chimes in. He says, signs Zadarius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney. Thoughts?
How long have we been piping up from the sidelines to sign Jadeveon Clowney? I mean, I give up on it. The dude don't want to play for us, plain and simple. And can you blame him? I don't know.
Dude would be a sponsorship darling in New York too.
Yeah, I just I don't quite I don't know, but we've been yelling that forever, and myself included. I'm not saying that it's other Jets fans. Like I think that Jadeveon Clowney would fit this team and the kind of thing what we need out an edge for this team. But I don't, dude. He hasn't signed here yet. I don't think he's going to. Zadarius Smith, very solid, very good edge. I don't know if we can necessarily afford him, but it is pretty late in the season, so maybe he takes a cheap deal. Either way, I'm good with either or. I think both those guys would be good additions to the team in a position that is a little bit of a sneaky need because we're one injury away from having no pressure.
Correct. And then what's that saying? Steel won't be sharp. Iron won't be sharpening iron anymore, man. And we got two damn near rookie tackles, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's the big thing, man. Like, I want to see Jermaine and Will McDonald going against Membu and Fashanu left and right, man. The more, the better. But hey, this regime didn't feel the need to insure Michael Clemens at all. But whatever. Well, let's move on. We spent plenty on that front. But one thing I do want to add.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. At this point, where we're sitting now with Edge, if they dropped Michael Clemens tomorrow and didn't replace him with anybody and just left it as is, are you upset about that move, or are you elated, or kind of 50-50? How do you feel if they did that?
I feel like in a year that you are one of the youngest teams in the league and you are probably plus 40,000 to win the Super Bowl, you would be an idiot to give a guy 500 snaps like Clemens, who you've already seen his ceiling. Sure, he's cheap labor, sure. But again, youngest team in the one of the damn youngest teams in the league. I'm pretty sure top 5 youngest. Not expecting to win the hoist the Lombardi. 500 snaps, if they're up for grabs, say Clemens or Jermaine gets nicked up, misses a month or something, give it to one of these guys. Give it to Weaver, Watts, McGregor, Weston, man. Let's see what we got. They have ceilings. Does Clemens? Nah, man. He ain't. He no. That's it. Like, each snap should be looked at as a developmental opportunity this year. Who you give them to should be very heavily calculated.
Well, you mentioned we were talking about Clemens, and you mentioned one of the youngest teams in the league, and my thought process to that was, I was like, well, it's not because of Clemens, because like, isn't he fucking 27 or so? Like, so I had to look it up real quick, and sure enough, he's 27 and will be 28 in August. We drafted him, he's
Damn.
like 25 already, you know.
I was
And
gonna say I'm old, man. That's crazy that he's gonna be 28.
it'd be one thing if the dude was only 23 and, and we're like, maybe he's still, coming into his own, and, I don't know. But yeah, you made some good points there, man. Why not give these young guys some playing time? I've been pretty much saying it for a while now that I don't think that this season is going to be anything for us. I'm not saying a tank necessarily, but like, this is just the installment season. This is just, so if you're doing that, you might as well go young, get some reps to your young guys, and see how it goes.
And honestly, like, another thing to factor in is that, like, I expect in 8 months from now to be heavily involved in free agency. A year into the regime, a year into seeing the rest of Salah's guys in the Glenn system, the Wilkes system for a whole year from the new staff, this team's probably going to turn over 40 or 50% next spring. The best way to do that intelligently is to get a look at a lot of guys that we haven't that have no film. Why are we confident right now in Leonard Taylor III and a Watts? Well, because they got a couple hundred snaps last year. You got to go into December doing the same thing. You got to have guys have 200, 250 snaps, 300 snaps, assuming we're not rolling or that, our starters aren't like playing out their mind. But even so, you're going to have defensive line rotation. So give it to the right guys. Clemens should be the last guy on the depth chart. I am over it. End the Clemens era. He's got Lemon right in his last name. Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he happens to be a lemon. So you are very correct in pointing that out. And there were some guys that we were excited about last year, although I didn't really necessarily see a whole lot out of them, with Watts and McGregor. But I mean, they were rookies, right? So give those guys a chance, give them some snaps, and we'll see what we have in them. It's better than watching a dude that I don't think hardly any Jet fan out there thinks that he's going to be with this team next year. Why bother? So I don't know. I'm over the Clemens talk.
Same.
He's just like dug into the ground at the Jets facility, and I guess nobody can move him.
You know what? Let's move on. I feel like we are beating a dead horse who would probably play defensive end better. Anyways, Zinger. Last year, several streams, I threw up a graphic, and I want to see if you remember what the hell it was by this description. It was, Daniel, a lunch table. It had a couple jet figures at each table, and you were given the option of sitting down at whichever table you prefer. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
serious.
remember. Yeah, I remember you picking Zerline and Sala and Clemens. I remember that. Uh, I'm just kidding. But I got a new one, man. Let's look at it. I want to get your thoughts on it because it's a little harder than last year, I think. And honestly, every time I look at it, I have a different answer. So, not just you, I want to hear from the chat as well. What you guys think of this graphic? Some of you may have seen it already. Where are you guys personally choosing to sit down in this cafeteria? And while they type out their answer, Murph, I want to hear yours.
Oh, they got some old Jets on here too. Okay, that's interesting.
There are some interesting options. I
There's
will say almost everyone has like a prior jet and then some current jets.
hmm. I think.
You know what? Let me buy you a minute, and I just want to say, Chris.
I'm going to just go ahead and decide. I initially was going to hit 7. I was almost there with Chris B. But for some reason, I felt like they'd start talking about country music there at that table, and I'm not really with it. So I'm gonna go 6, because Pennington was my guy. Bree seems like a cool dude. Quinnen's always funny to be around. I think that'd be a fun table to sit at.
You know what? 6 is a solid answer. With Quinnen and Chad, man, I would love that. And I guess I could ask Brees what the hell happened to him last year.
I thought you were just going to ignore the fact that Brees was on the table. I was like, geez, the guy exists.
You know what? Man, let me just shout out. Okay, Charles, good. Buy me a minute here. Charles says he's going to go with table 9 because of his boy, Revis. You know what, Charles? The other two are no slouches either, and I think you would agree. What do you think about table number 9, Daniel?
See, I actually was turned away from table 9 because of Revis. And I got tons of respect for Revis as a player. But man, he's just gone pure dick mode for the past few years. And I just don't, I feel like he'd just be weird to even be around. Like quiet and very like, you got to watch what you say around him because he's going to get all fucking offended or something. I don't know. I'm not really down with hanging out with Revis.
I can relate.
I
He
feel like I would hate him. I don't hate him right now, and I feel like if I hung out with him, I would hate him at the end. And I don't want to do that.
You know what? After carefully looking at these, I just want to throw a few consolations out there, and I do have an answer, but I'm going to say it last. I think 8 would be cool because I think Sanchez is charismatic and John Simpson is the man. Like, also, like Mason Taylor's no slouch, so that would be cool. I think 2 is a banger, dude. I just don't know. I don't know about Olu, his personality.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to go to table 1 because I think it has 2 lemons. Yeah, I said that. 4 was a consideration for me, but ultimately I'm going number 3, man, and I'll tell you why. I'm going. Let me get us back. Hopefully they heard us while we were off screen. I'm pretty sure they did. But number 3, I like because each guy I feel like is different and offers different. Like I assume you're sitting at the table for conversation. Tyrod, however you want to say it, man. That's a whole character, man. He is one also like Sanchez, charismatic dude. I could talk to him, man, especially about his red carpet shit he does and fashion. Will McDonald. Well, you're a WMD, guys. I don't even need to talk about Will McDonald, but Garrett with just his competitive nature and he's a hooper like me. I could talk and Buckeye, man. I spent 30 plus years in Ohio. I'm going with 3. Thoughts on anything I said there?
Okay, you lost me with the Tyrod stuff. I could care less about his fashion. If you want to be a fashionista, Dane, that's okay, man. I won't judge you, but I have no interest in those conversations. I'm not saying I couldn't have a good conversation with Tyrod, but it definitely wouldn't be about that. Will McDonald, he's an interesting fella. Like I'm a Will McDonald fan, but he is a little odd, isn't he? Like he's not. I don't know. He just if he was in high school, you wouldn't have expected him to be a jock, like be like on the football team, star football player. You know what I mean? Like he would have been hanging out with like the emo kids and stuff. Like I feel like I don't know. And Garrett is pumping that table up over there because Garrett's he's a fucking good dude. Honestly, I think Garrett's an excellent dude, great character. So I just because Garrett was at that table, I was considering that one, but I went with a table where I was like, all 3 dudes are solid dudes. I feel like I could chill with, so I went with 6.
I like it, man. We got a couple people saying 7. I think it was Chris B and Nick. Charles, he said table 9. Let me see if I have any others before we move on here. Charles did chime in and say he also loves him some Tipman and Sherwood. He's all about the tip and the wood. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh, who is
Yeah,
maybe I'm being an idiot right now, but who's the third guy on 7? Like obviously there's Nick Mangold, there's JJ. Who's the third guy?
that's my boy, Isaiah Davis.
Okay, that's I was thinking that's who it was. Yeah.
He's
I
he's an he's an interesting looking guy, I will say. Um, yeah, I think he still has acne, man. That's how young he is.
To be fair, I just turned 34 and I still get a pimple here or there, so
Fair enough. All right, Scott. I needed Scott's answer before we move on, and I just got it. Let's see what he has to say. He is going with table 8. What's that again? Simpson, Sanchez, and Taylor. Thoughts on Scott's preference there?
I I thought Scott would go with some more of an old head table. But that's a solid choice. Like you said, Simpson's a dude. He might be one of the top guys I want to hang out with on this whole list, like out of everybody here. And Sanchez seems like a pretty cool guy too. Mason Taylor, I'm not going to pretend I know much about his personality yet or anything like that, but that'd be a pretty interesting table to hang out at.
Damn straight. See, I know if we made a table 11 and it was solely comprised of our UDFA linebacker from last year by the name of Jackson Sermon, we would know where Scott's sitting.
Yes, yes, we know it would be him for sure, and just add 2 former Ducks on the table, and you'll be all right. Um, if there was a table on that, like which table out of all those would you like absolutely no, I'm good?
Let me look at it one more time.
Okay, you
All right.
just took it off. That's my my
No, no,
mistake.
no. That's fine. You know what? That's a great. It's a question worthy of throwing it back up. Chat, please feel free to chime in. What is your last table you're choosing? Just taking a gander here, and I think I kind of already teased it earlier. I like Quincy, but the other two, man, nah, I'm good. So just to clarify, my last chosen table is number one. What about you, Murph? I'm throwing it right back at you. Unless you need me to clarify why I don't like table one, which I will gladly do. Talk to me though.
Well, before you do that, I'm just going to sit here and actually agree with you. I Namath, I don't know, man. I don't know. Ruckert, I'm not sure about. Quincy's the only thing holding that table up, and honestly, I think Quinnen's probably more of a fun character to hang around than Quincy is. Although they're both pretty cool personalities, I think. So I don't know.
Do you have a table here that like? Because I do that looks good on paper, but like when you really think about it, could be a total flop.
Four,
I
yeah.
could see that. I can
That
see that.
that was my next choice after one. Like as of the one that you don't want to sit at, like Justin Fields. Like I don't know. I don't feel like getting preached to. And then Wayne Corbett's an alright dude. I just I don't know. Like the dynamic there, I feel like would be really awkward, man.
I feel you. Cisco, I think, and I know you do too. Like, he's a guy. He's cool, but also like you hear him in interviews, and he is very prepped for media. And I just wonder, like, is he just another boring guy like Fields? I don't know. But my answer right away when I thought about it was two, and because we're talking personalities. Olu, I don't have high hopes for as far as being a fun, bubbly guy. Braylon, I haven't really seen it. Sauce, if it better be gaming or it better be football or social media. There's a difference, man, between the art of one-on-one conversation live in person, and I don't know if any of those three guys have it at table two. Am I crazy?
No, no, you're not. Although I think Sauce would be a cool hang. He's just you have to understand who he is. Like he's always going to be careful, about what he puts out there, what he says, and what he does. Uh, he's calculated. I feel like, but I think overall he'd be pretty cool to hang with. But Olu, I don't know. A few interviews that I've seen of him, I'm like, I don't
Hey,
know.
he can block a defensive end. That's all I care about. But in this context, it matters. And yeah, hey, maybe we will change our minds over time. We'll go back. They'll probably have another one next year. Maybe Olu will be on the table we want to be at. We'll see. Um, Scott said he just wants, and it was a typo earlier. He wants to be with some guys who are fun and crushing some beers. Hey, Jermaine and Mangold might be a good choice there, but I like the one you chose as well. Let me roll into what we gotta talk about real fast, and then I got another tweet or two to show you. And it takes a second to load, but as it does, it is training camp. We are on the cusp of it, man. We are damn near on the eve, man. We could talk about it next week too, but like I said, we might have a guest next week. So I really want to call this the eve because next week all bets are off. But these are the public opportunities to go and see practice. So I just wanted to throw them up there, guys. If you need this info, screenshot it, but only right after you hit subscribe. Um, Also on here is our preseason game against the G-Men. I don't know how. I don't know, man. You might see Dart in that game, so that could be a fun one to go to if you want to see the Jackson Dart era. But needless to say, I don't think that pertains too much to me and you, Murph. So I'm gonna take that one down already. One thing I do want to show as well, it's another variation of that said list, and it's a little small, but more practice and preseason starting times for anybody who needs it. Again, screenshot that. You might have to bump it up to 720p before you do and full screen it, but it's there if you need it, and it is gone. I got another tweet for you, man. I got two more. Okay, as my camera focuses. Sorry, guys. See if I can force it real quick. There we go. Here's one that I think will be a little spicy, and we do have a personal list I wanna run through here shortly. But like I said, two more tweets. Here's one, and I'll read it to you. June 30th, so this is 12 days ago. You might have seen it already, but Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis points out Justin Field has led his teams to an 0-22 record when the other team scores at least 3 touchdowns or 21 points. Now, the last 4 years, NFL teams score 22.4. Fields, in conclusion, is the only quarterback winless the last 4 years with at least 10 starts being made in that span. So I ask you, is this something or is this nothing?
I've seen the first two lines previously, so he must have just added to it. I didn't see the whole winless thing. Doesn't surprise me. I think this is kind of what I've been talking about, guys. This is kind of what I've been talking about. I keep screaming quarterback. Like you have to have a good quarterback to win football games. Like you might be able to win a few if you have an excellent team and a good defense and a run game and stuff like that. You have to have a good quarterback if you want to truly win football games. If you got a guy that can't win a game when the opposing team scores 21 points, you're probably never going to win a Super Bowl. Like it's very, very unlikely. This isn't 1980. Like, in 2025, football is scoring points, So we see shootouts all the time in the playoffs and even in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. So where I'm getting at is don't get your hopes up, boys and girls.
It sounds like you are leaning toward this being something and not nothing. Am I right?
Yes. I do think it's likely something. I think that there's always a chance that a player can hit his stride at the right time and improve and stuff. And we've seen it with quarterbacks. For some reason, it always seems to be ex-Jets, it feels like, um, with Geno and Darnold. But even they're not spectacular. They're good, not great. Um, so yeah, it's likely it does mean something. I mean, Justin Fields hasn't proven it yet. So God, football gods, I hope he does. You know what I mean? Like I hope he just kills it. Like I said, like I've told everybody here, I'm an Ohio State guy. Like I mean, I'm a WVU guy, but I also like Ohio State. So I've been rooting for Fields. I wanted us to draft him, but he hasn't shown it yet.
So, great answer. You're right. This is not like I can't count how many Jet fans are glossing over that. And now that this dude is wearing green and white, he's all better. He's fixed, man. He's good to go. All he needs to do is run the ball for 1,000 yards and throw it for maybe two and a half. And I've even kind of privately considered that as well, because I do think with a offensive line that can road grade this dude, you can hide this guy's deficiencies, whatever they may be, in this scheme because it could vary scheme to scheme. The thing that pauses me is this isn't a road grading O line, and I don't think enough people consider that. Um, One second, Murph. I don't know. Your camera might have flipped. There you go.
Yeah, I'm
Murph in the dark.
issues over here. Yeah,
You're okay, man.
got a new camera today, guys. So I'm trying to work this out a little bit.
Yep, no problem. Let me just keep cooking. Like I said, Fields, his hide is, if Angstrand can hide his deficiencies in this scheme, which, if you ask me, might be like the deep shots, maybe the precision passing. Then he can be good and blah blah blah. But I've expected the coaching staff to be creative with deficiencies and hiding them for too long. So I'm going to just hedge my bets and lean pessimistic there. But what I will say is O line, if it all hinges on the O line being able to run block well, if you dig into this O line, they are a pass blocking O line. Doesn't exactly lend itself to running the ball down people's throats. Can they get there? Yes. But I got to see it. I'm not just going to crown them. I'm not just going to crown their asses, let them off the hook. I got to see it. I got to see it against good teams. I got to see it against good defensive tackles and edges. Not just Michael Clemens and Derek Nandi in July. Okay. But I want to play a devil's advocate and just ask you, because I do agree with you. I'm going to try to play the other side. Is it possible, since he's the only one winless, using the same metrics, he's the only one who hasn't won a single game that way? Could it just be that Chicago kind of sucked around him, or maybe Chicago gave up way more than 21, and it just they've still factored into this metric because it's 21 plus. Maybe they gave up 30, and he's not going to win a game like that. And Pittsburgh's D, the games he won there, the D was holding teams down to like 13, so like he can win, he just can't win shootouts. Is that as damning as this stat sounds, that he's 0-22 when they score 3 measly touchdowns? Like, can you spin it at all, or you're just like, bro, it's 22 chances and you lost them all?
I feel like I could win, but not shootouts. I mean, if the other team's only going to score 13 on me, I think I might be able to get a couple bombs down the field or something and get a couple tutties, dude. I don't know. I'm just saying. Come on now. When I was talking about it, I wasn't really hyper focusing on the stat itself. I'm just saying, like, Fields hasn't quite proven it yet. The stat just kind of backs that up, is all. That is a damning stat, though. It really is. That's 0-22. I'm sure there's like a litany of quarterbacks that are like 1-20 and stuff like that, or 2-23 or something. I don't know. But where I'm getting at is that still sucks. Like, if you haven't done it, then can you? At some point, you got to ask, can you? Because he hasn't proven it yet.
I will say he might not win very many more this year either because our D is going to be holding teams to 10 and less. Yeah, waka waka waka. All
I
right,
hope. I
moving
hope.
on. You know what, Greg? He is trapped in 1980 because he's just now answering this cafeteria question. He says, "I'm just kidding, Greg. If you are a little behind, and that's fine, but you could probably skip ahead and just jump to the live talk if you want." He says table 4, and I had to double check it, so I bought myself a second. He chose Cisco, Fields, and Wayne. The only trouble is I don't know if this is his least favorite table or his most, since we kind of tackled every single one. But my dog is scratching itself. Let's move on, man. We do. I did ask you to prepare a 3-person list tonight, and I did as well. We're gonna get into those next. We're rolling up on an hour here. I want to get to it by 1 hour so I can open call-ins shortly after. Let me get this off the screen and show you the final question or final nugget I got for you. And it is from Ted Wynn, football underscore film analysis. This was 2 weeks ago. Top 10 QBs with the most passes dropped last year. You got a bunch of guys between about 20 and 30. But as you see, leading by 11 more than the next guy is who cares who? The Jets quarterback. That's the point I want to make because much of the receiving core is the same. So I want to ask you, is this stat something or nothing? Because when you think about it, man, it's 2.5, 2.3, 2.4 drops per game when you factor that out. So, and Lazard's still here, Wilson's still here, Corley's still here. You know where I'm going. Brees was a heavy culprit. Um, yeah, 39 drops. How much do you attribute to just the quarterback last year? And hey, it's not the same. So, and how much of it is still a problem and you're concerned?
So I would like to. Normally, I'm like, when I see these type of stats, I'm like very pro quarterback, and I'm like, oh my god, the team, like these receivers are horrible, and this and that, and to an extent, there's some of that, right? But to me, I feel like all that spells, especially seeing that stat being so bloated, way above the others, that just spells dysfunction to me. Like the offense is dysfunctional. Like people don't know where they're supposed to be. They're not in the right spots. They're not, Aaron gets it to them quicker than they think. Like that just feels like everything is out of sync. I think that's where a lot of those drops come from. You know, too much pressure on the quarterback. Quarterback's not making the right reads. He's expecting too much out of the offense by doing these audibles and hot routes and all these different things is going on. It's not one specific person or a specific position group. Like all that spells to me is just in a dysfunctional offense. And we have a new play caller this year, so hopefully it's not the same. That's how I'm just trying to. If I'm going to have any optimism, I'm going to say, hey, Nate Hackett is gone, right? We're starting fresh, and hopefully we're going to be towards the bottom of this list instead of the top. I just think the whole thing was dysfunction, and that's what it's from.
I don't disagree. I also think that this is such an outlier that it's really hard to duplicate. 39, dude. Like I said, that's like, I don't know. Someone can double check my math, but I think it's damn near 2.5 a game. That's not going to happen again. And at least in my offense, it wouldn't, because guess what? If Lazard drops 2 or 3 balls, he's down for 2 or 3 games. Okay. But we have Mason Taylor, who's a rookie. And again, just playing devil's advocate here because I agree with you. Don't think it's sustainable. Mason Taylor, rookie, might get targeted 100 times this year. Don't know. Arian Smith also might get targeted 80 plus times this year. Maybe. I'm just saying. Coming in with drop issues. Lazard could be wide receiver 2 on this team. I don't know. He could be. I'm just saying. Devil's advocate again. All I'm saying is all these things factor together. Fields, don't know how his touch and placement's going to be. Probably not going to get 39, even with all this factored in, because I don't think we're going to be throwing it 500 times like we did last year. But I could see a path where drops per pass, we're up there again. And I hope that I hope Arian's better. I hope that Mason, honestly, I have high hopes for him. I think he's going to be Conklin on steroids, which isn't a lot to ask. It really isn't. Just find the hole, turn around, catch the ball, go down. I don't care. But 39, I would be shocked if Fields is near the top of this list next year.
Yeah, because we're going to run the ball 75 times a game. We won't even throw 39 passes all year. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I just think that we just needed, and I kind of get Aaron Glenn in the whole like wanting to start fresh. Just new quarterback, new system. I wish there was some new receivers. I mean, I guess we have Josh Reynolds and Tyler Johnson. I guess we'll see how that goes. Arian Smith, a lot of guys known for drops, which doesn't help with this graphic. But I don't know, like I said, a lot of it's just like how the team is playing. Man, when the team just started doing shitty, everybody started playing like shit. It wasn't just Brees Hall. It wasn't just one of the line, you pick a lineman or whatever. Like the whole team just started playing like shit. The defense went to hell, and we know that there's talented players on that defense. There was no reason for them to play as bad as they did, other than the fact that the run D was kind of rough. But I think that I think a lot of that'll be fixed this year. Like Aaron Glenn will have that defense cooking again. That'll help motivate the offense. It'll give them some gusto, let's say, whenever they keep getting the ball back on, turnover on downs or whatever it may be, and it just makes everything flow better. We just needed a breath of fresh air, man. We needed somebody to breathe life into this team. Hopefully Glenn is the dude to do it.
Yeah. Fair points, all fair points. I do want to highlight some chats that I saw while you were spitting hot molten lava, and that is Abby Fresh. You guys are scaring me. Let me just keep rolling though, because I do have like 10 I want to highlight. One of them is Dom C in the building. Welcome, brother. I enjoy when you pop in here on Friday nights and show us some love. Appreciate you, brother. Actually, dude actually helped me with my dynasty draft pick the other day. I was torn between Trey Harris and I forget the other one. Oh, Kyle Williams from New England. I had to get Dom. Dude, that Dom is. I would never want to play dynasty with Dom. Like,
no doubt.
no. But what I will do is I'll ask his advice now and then. That's for sure.
We gotta get our boy Dom back on the show. I wouldn't even be mad at way too early draft talk.
You know what? I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
What do you say? Like week 3?
even earlier. I don't care. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
1 week into the college football season. Dom, who's
Scott,
your top 10?
dude, he has a top 10 now. I'm sure it's subject. It like is an organism that changes all year, but yeah, for sure, dude. It's gonna be early this year for me, like in general, because of the emphasis I want to put on drafting a quarterback next year, and I'm sure you do too. Like I'm gonna be watching these guys week one of college football on. I'm gonna be watching Sellers and Aller and Manning for next year. Like whenever he comes out, I didn't do that enough in the past, and I do want to have my own.
That's what I'm
And
saying. Get like a nice names to watch list from Dom. That would be nice. And also having Dom on is great. Like I love his Jets takes too. Dom's a great dude, and he's always everything that comes out of his mouth is well thought out.
100,000%. Just keep rolling. Scott Brees dropped a bunch of those. He also said the team was dysfunctional, which you spoke on. And then he chimes in, do your job, catch the damn ball. Thoughts on those three comments from Scott, real
Well,
quick.
okay, yes. So the first two, the third one, you're starting to sound a little bit like Belichick, Scott. So you need to dial that back. Okay, we don't tolerate that in the danger zone. Nothing to do with Bill Belichick, unless it's his girlfriend.
Scott says in Dane's offense, it won't happen because the Jets won't throw the ball 39 times. And I think you said the same joke, but he's not wrong because I think he thought I was crazy last summer when I said, let's just use Rodgers to throw it 20 to 25 times a game and let's have a ball control, run the ball offense. Just use Rodgers in the fourth quarters, just use Rodgers in the winter, when needed kind of thing. Because honestly, I thought the running game and the defense could keep you in games and then Rodgers could just take you over the hump.
Well, can I first of all, like the running game, yeah, and in a perfect world that'd have been fine, but our running game was shit too last year. It was worse, honestly. And there's no freaking excuse for that, man. There's no excuse for our run game to be that bad. We have three capable backs. We had studs all along the offensive line. I know Tyron Smith underperformed, whatever. We replaced him with Olu. Like there's just no reason. Even towards the end of the season, when the offensive line was playing better, the run game was still lacking, man. And I just don't understand that. That's so frustrating to me. And the only thing I can boil it down to is what I was just talking about a little bit ago, and it's fucking Nate Hackett, okay? Or Todd Downing if you want to. I mean, whatever. If
Keith Carter.
that's better, Keith Carter. You can mention Keith Carter, yeah. We need a guy that can script a run game. Like somebody like we saw that with Mike LaFleur, or I get the right Mike LaFleur, not Matt. Okay. We saw creative run schemes, right? We saw guards pulling and doing different things and stuff like that, opening up these massive holes for Brees. And then when that dude gets going, dude, he's 0 to 60 as fast as any running back in the league almost. So why can't we do that? Like, why could we not do that last year? And that's just pitiful, man. We have to, Engstrand, make sure you got your shit together and have a solid run game. Like, have a scripted run game, have some actual schemed out plays that work and aren't the same basic halfback dive with a running back that doesn't know how to run up the fucking middle anyway. Like, let's figure this shit out, okay? Because after last year, I was sick of watching us try to run the ball. Like, I don't want to do it again.
It's all you need, baby. It's all you need. I am pulling a photo real fast. Buy me a second here. Let me ask you this, Murph. While I do that, Scott says, and let me get this off the screen so you're not behind the comment there. Can you read that and answer while I grab a pick?
Yeah. Our buddy Scott Foster said, last year the Jets played for first place in week 6. What week will be the latest they play for first place next season? Week 2. Damn, I know I'm coming off pessimistic, but I think the Patriots are better, man. As much as it pains me to say that, the Dolphins are still going to have an offense no matter what, as long as they have that coach there and a half competent quarterback in Tua with some weapons. They're going to have an offense, so they're going to win some games. The Bills are the Bills. I mean, what are you going to do, man? Uh, we got a pretty rough start to our schedule, so we go 0-1 to Pittsburgh, which I think is a winnable game for us. But if we end up going 0-1 to Pittsburgh, who's next? The Ravens? Or the Bills? That's what it was. Yeah.
So, JT, welcome, brother. The question on the table is, what week this year is the final week the Jets will be playing a game where they can take the first seed in the East? Now, Murph, that's a salient guess by him, week 2, because it did cross my mind as well. Because you only play your division rivals 6 different times, and a lot of ours are in the latter half of the season. So here are the options. It's week 2, week 4. Where are we at here? What? Holy crap! That's 3, 6. Week 10, New England. Week 13, and then the final 2 weeks. Man, week 2 is looking ripe. But what could happen is you could go play Buffalo, and I don't know. Like, it's only if you win that game, you're only 2-0. Are you really going to be the number 1 seed in the East week 2 with a 2-0 record? I don't know, man. So I think I am going to go. Oh shit! With week 18, baby.
Get the
Yeah,
out of here.
week 2. Yeah, week 2. Great
Yeah.
question, Scott. Very
Yeah.
good.
Honestly, I said that and I didn't even realize that we played the Bills week 2. For some reason, I was thinking it was like the Ravens or somebody. But I knew it was a tough team. I just couldn't remember. That just makes it, that solidifies my opinion. Week 2, because we're going, even if we beat the Steelers, we're going to probably lose to the Bills, be 1-1, and we're down 0-1 in the division. And I don't think they're going to let up. We'll never catch them.
Yeah. The divisional record is a tiebreaker, so that would matter. I would love to know what the Finns' first 3 weeks look like, because there's a chance that we beat Pittsburgh, we lose to Buffalo, and then we win our next 2, and 3-1, boom, you're at the top. But even having lost to Buffalo, it just depends on a lot of factors. That's so early in the season. And it's shitty that after week 4, you have weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all without divisional games. Are you nuts? Why do you got to do that?
Dolphins' first 3 games are against the Colts, Patriots, and Bills. And then
They could be 2-1. If we're 2-1 as well, you could be playing for the lead there. That week 4 is a candidate, man. And I'm not even saying you have to beat Buffalo for it to be a candidate.
No, we would have to beat Buffalo.
Not if they lose a second game.
If they lose, well, they have 2 divisional games in the first 3. They could be 1-1 in the division, and we could be 0-1.
What I'm saying is, if they're 2-2 after 4, and the Jets are 3-1, like, if it don't matter what the tiebreaker is, if they lost 2 and we didn't.
Yeah, but then there's still the Bills, so
True, and we're still the Jets.
no matter what.
Well, let me just segue to JT's comment here. He does like our odds against Pittsburgh. Can you give me 30 seconds on what you see that game going like? Bro, we talk about it every week because that's such a near and dear game to us. But just buy me 30 seconds. Talk to JT
Listen,
and
Jake,
either do your thing.
this is the game of the year that the Jets probably shouldn't win, that we probably will. I'm just putting that out there. This might be my like upset game of the entire year for the Jets. And we're probably all going to jump on the bandwagon at that point and be all hyped up and stuff, and then go to Buffalo and get absolutely smacked around. Whatever happens after that, who cares? As long as we beat Aaron Rodgers at home, with his new team. But I'm not saying that for any reason. I'm not saying that because Aaron is there. I'm not saying, I just like the feeling to me is like you can beat the Steelers. They don't really scare me. Like they're a solid team, a well-coached team that's going to play away on the home opener for us. A lot of their team, a lot of their solid pieces are aging. They have a very old team. My God, that one defensive tackle is like 37 or something. I'm losing his name. Doesn't matter. TJ Watt's like 31 or 30 or something, and he's holding out, whatever. That's a winnable game. And you're not going to hear me say that very much on this schedule with the Jets. I'm not going to say that very often. But the Steelers, for whatever reason, to me, feel like a very winnable game. Won't be an easy game, but it'll be a winnable one.
Not only that, like I feel like when he's got a brand new team around him, Aaron is not his best in the very beginning. Like
Somebody mentioned it in the chat. He starts off slow, man. He threw like 4 picks to the Saints like 4 or 5 years ago, like his first game of the season, and then went on to win like MVP. I might be exaggerating with some of that, but you get what I'm saying. He had a really rough game against the Saints that first game, and everybody's like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers has fallen off." No, he didn't fall off that year.
JD, welcome. Appreciate you, brother. We're rolling into our 3-man list next, man, because we've chomped on some nuggets here, and I'm tired of McDonald's. So let's move on, man. Let's get to the steak and eggs, or whatever you want to call it, man.
I'm just putting it out there. McDonald's chicken nuggets sucks.
What's your go-to nugget, real fast?
Dude, you got to go somewhere other than McDonald's. Like they're the worst. I mean, I don't know if this counts as like Chick-fil-A, probably. I mean, you can't beat Chick-fil-A's nugs, dude. But Wendy's is solid. Wendy's is pretty solid. I don't hate Burger King's. I don't think, I don't know if Hardee's even does chicken nuggets. I'm trying to think of fast food places that do that. I don't know. Chick-fil-A would be my go-to for nugs, though, dude.
I've never had Chick-fil-A.
What?
I've never had Chipotle either.
Well, I haven't either, but that's because I probably wouldn't even care for it. Anyway,
I think I would, but yeah, I never really was near one, really. Like,
I'm a very plain Jane kind of guy. So, like, when you go to Chipotle, they're putting all this different shit in. Like, nah, I don't. Dude, just give me meat and cheese, man. That's all I care about.
all right. I want to read you exactly what I asked you to prep for tonight, and it's not going to take us long. So if you do want to call in, hang tight. It'll be the next 15 minutes or so. This is what I asked you. Bring me your top 3 guys who you think will play a far larger role than we are currently expecting. So, and I did give you the caveat. It could be a player or a coach, but we can approach it a couple of different angles because there's room for interpretation there. far larger role, do you mean like they're going to get more snaps than we're expecting, or do you just mean they're going to be a bigger factor than we're expecting? So I'm not going to define it any further. You can take it any way you want. It's only 3 guys. Honestly, I jotted down a list of like
Never mind.
15 guys. So like now it's just a matter of me narrowing it down. But 3-man list. I think the chat will have their own 3-man list. Maybe they'll disagree with our top 3. But I do want to start 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. If you can think of it like that, that would be cool.
Yep, that was my first question. As I was going to ask if we're going to go back and forth.
And also, your 3 might be my 1. That's fine. Or my 3 might be your 1. Like, still pitch your case why. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, however you want to do it. Do you have a number 3 now? Should I go first?
Yeah, I can start. Do they have to be like ranked, or is it just throwing 3 guys out?
What do you mean?
Do I have
Like,
to rank them on like least to biggest impact?
I mean, try to save your good one for last, or like the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking just this year, their impact. Like, let me just throw a candidate out there that I don't think either of us will choose. Let's say Malachi Corley could be a candidate because most people are expecting him to get cut or barely make the team. If your opinion was that he's going to actually be wide receiver 3, that's a massive guy on your list. So just throwing that out there. Chad, I want to hear from you as well. Who do you think is going to be a bigger deal on the 2025 Jets than anybody is looking for right now? Like, who's going to raise their stock the highest by season's end? You could phrase it a million ways, and you can interpret it a million ways, but it makes for a fun little discourse. Guys, you think that are going to ball out in this scheme? They're going to really carve out something that they couldn't with Sulla.
All right. I'm going to warm us up with one. It may not be too big of a shocker to anybody, but I think when you have a defensive coaches, they like guys that run around with their hair on fire. They like guys that have that passion behind them and stuff. Aaron Glenn was a passionate guy himself, right? He likes guys that get out there, they put their heart into it on the field. I think, and he was a factor the last couple of years, but I think that even more so, Aaron Glenn is going to love him some Quincy Williams. He's going to love that speed because Quincy's he's fast for a linebacker. He's going to love that speed. He's going to love that tenacity. He's going to love that heart and that grit that he puts out on the field. And he's going to use him in so many ways to make plays on the field. Quincy Williams is going to be a factor on this defense. Mark my words.
And obviously someone could say, well, he's already going to start. He's already a fringe Pro Bowler. But what you're saying is he's going to be a chess piece, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he's going to be an integral part of this defense.
I like it, dude, especially when you see a guy next to him that gets paid and he gets paid twice as much as him. That's a good number 3, a good warm-up, like you said, man. I do just want to preface my number 3 choice. I did mention it could be a coach. The same applies to them, man. Like it would have to be a coach that nobody even really like knows. It's going to be a big factor, or it's going to be a coach we all know that you think is just really going to outperform and really going to factor games, like impact games. So I don't know if you have a coach on your list. I don't even know if I do yet. It's in my bank. but I wanted to get that out there in case someone in the chat wants to choose a coach. Scott's a big Wilkes guy. Could be on his list. So just saying, Scott Foster, if you want to include Wilkes, go ahead, man. Those are the criteria that I would think of for them to actually be top three.
Dane,
All right.
before you start, I gotta ask you, like in school, were you the kid that when they told you to write a 3-page paper, you wrote a 6-page paper?
Fuck that, man. No.
Okay, I'm just curious because you got 15 freaking names over there. I barely squeezed out 3.
Honestly, like I had 10 minutes. I'm like, I just brought up New York Jet roster and I scrolled down. Could they be a top three? Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, okay.
And then I was like, all right, I'll sort them out. And
All
that's exactly what I did. I'm going to start with, okay, that one I'm going to save. My number 3 choice is probably not a guy that would be in most people's top 10. And that's why I want to use it, because it's like it's kind of a hot takey one, and I would rather have a hot take at 3 than at number 1, because I do have a legit number 1. And I'm not saying this guy isn't legit, because I do believe this take. It's not just a clickbaity one I'll make into a short. Bullshit. I don't do that. My number 3 choice for a guy who's going to raise his stock the highest, he's going to be a far bigger role than we're currently expecting, is tight end Stone Smart. Let me tell you why. And it's pretty obvious, but things have to break right, clearly. But look at our tight end room. Look at it. Just look. Would you look at it? We're all penciling Mason Taylor in for 90 balls. At least like 100 targets, 70 catches even. Hell, easy for him to go out and replicate Conklin and then some in this offense. He's still a rookie, man. Still a rookie. Who else is there? Ruckert? We need a receiving guy, and if Mason Taylor is not it, or I also think we're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel, man. What's 12 personnel? 1 running back, 2 tight ends. He's going to be on the field, man. And if I'm just saying he's going to get at least 500 snaps, I could also see him being a preferred target for Fields because he's already got offenses in him. He's also been used in the playoffs and done well receiving. I do think that he'll be at least tight end 2 on this team. And I don't think he's on most people's radar. For that, he's my number 3 answer.
I didn't see you going there. Crossed my mind for a little bit, but I felt like maybe I was reaching a little bit with it. But I can see it. I can see a world. Maybe not so much as like a 12 package, but moving him into like a power slot or so, like, things like that. I think if they get creative with him, he could be a factor, as we're calling it, or an asset on this offense. So I don't think it's too crazy. But that was not somebody that I chose. And I feel like we're going to have one guy the same. So Dane, don't you dare change your list, because I know you got 15 names over there. You got 3 of them down now. I want you to pick who you're picking anyway. The next name for me that I think is going to be a bigger factor than maybe some people expect, and I know there's some people that are heavy behind this guy, including myself. But I do think that there's a lot of people that don't factor him into the equation like as much as they should. I think that Andre Sisco is going to be a guy that is going to give us something that we really haven't had. You can talk about the Jordan Whitehead year, but he had like 3 picks in one game. Aside from that, he didn't do a whole lot. Anyway, Andre Cisco is going to be another chess piece for Aaron Glenn. He's going to be a guy that holds up that back end. He's going to be a guy that can actually capitalize on good coverage from Sauce and company. And, he can actually play the field and do what he does best and ball hawk and do his job, as you wanted to say, Scott. Andre Cisco is going to be a key factor in on this defense. And we're going to regret not signing him to a multi-year contract.
I like it, dude, because he definitely qualifies, man, because there's a lot of people that do not even know how that safety room's going to shake out. Is Tony Adams a guy? Is Malachi Moore a guy? Is Cisco a guy? Are they all three going to play? Is only one going to play? Like, dude, that's all very up in the air. So for you to not even just say Cisco's the guy, but he's also going to excel, makes him your number 2 candidate. And I see it, brother. I like it. I like it a lot. He was not on my list. Let's take a beat real fast. We're halfway through it already. I just want to highlight a few things from the chat. JT says Cisco is a Jet fan though, so he balls. We extend. Thoughts on that? And he also says Cisco and Moore is going to be a nasty duo.
Yeah, I mean, money talks, right? And if he has an incredible season, he'll probably outprice us. But hopefully he does ball, and hopefully we respect the fact that he came in and he did his damn job and he went to work and he bought into the Aaron Glenn system. He bought into the culture and all this and that. And we're like, all right, 3 more years. Here's 25. I don't know how much. I'm not going to guess contracts. Never mind. But hopefully, yeah, that's the case, man. Cisco and Moore are going to be a nasty duo. I hope so. That would be so. If we got our safeties locked in, if Cisco balls out, we extend him, and then Moore, comes in, earns the starting position, has a solid rookie season, and then boom, we got our starting safety duo for the next 5 years or something. I'd have to change underwear, JT.
You know what? Another underrated stat is like last year. I think he had 1 pick. The 2 years prior, he had like 7 total. So like 8 the last 3 years sounds good, but 7 in those 2 years. And Glenn knows he had a bad 2024. So, like, the vision is to get him back to 2022 and 2023 when he was plucking the ball every 4th game. He had a pick. Behind these corners, he can get to that. So, he's going to have chances.
Exactly what I'm trying to say, dude. If he's playing the field when you got Sauce and whether it's Brandon Stevens or AZ Thomas, locking down those wide receivers, frustrating them, getting them off of their routes and the way that they want to be on their routes, getting them out of sync with the quarterback. And then you got Cisco back there watching the quarterback's eyes. And next thing you know, he just bolts forward, boom, pick. Hopefully pick 6.
Facts. I like it.
4 points.
Dude, I like it. All right, moving on to my number 2. Just to reiterate, if you are joining us late, this is guys the consensus is low on right now that we are higher on, or we think that it's just Roll is going to blossom this year. They're really going to impact things more than anyone can see. There's a guy or two that I have that's like, do they count? I would love to say Jermaine here, because like so many are just like penciling him in. Like, I could see him having like picking up right where he left off and then some. I don't know why, but I'm not going to make that my choice because you can poke holes in just his qualification, and that's what I'm getting at. Uh, we're talking about impact and shit a lot. Okay, I am going to go with a guy who's in a contract year. A guy that I've wanted to extend all off season as a good faith measure, as a culture establishing move. We did not. We're forcing this guy to go out there and stay healthy for 17, which I disagree with, but I think it's going to have a good impact. The guy's name is Elijah Vera Tucker, man. And I'll tell you why. Because he's my number 2 candidate for this reason. He can pull. So can Titman. Simpson can too, but not as good as AVT and Tip. And I just see that being this offense's like crown jewel. I think him in a contract year. I mean, they say it, man. You're playing for your second contract. You're not playing for your first. Right this year alone, he's going to make more money than he did in his first 4 combined. So he's getting some money, but he's also going to get a taste of that money, and he's going to want 4 times more, and he can get it. He just has to go out and have a spectacular 17. I think this guy will. I think he's going to benefit from what you said earlier, shedding Keith Carter. Also, a downhill running attack. If they're not a road grading O line, what do? You get them out in space and you knock some heads off. Let's do that. For that reason, AVT is my number 2 candidate to really cement himself again as a top guard in this league.
Hey, I respect that. That was a guy that I actually thought about pretty heavily. I'm not sure why. I think I just came up with a better candidate in my mind, but that was somebody that was definitely on my list. I think that AVT, when he's healthy and when he's, you know, in the zone, when he's like doing his thing, man, he does it as good as any other guard in the league, you know. So I think that, you know, maybe new coaching staff, new offensive line coach, new offensive coordinator, hopefully a more creative offensive coordinator that can utilize him to the best of his abilities. It's very possible that dude could be an X factor on the offense. Like, he can be somebody that is just straight plowing holes open for our run game, you know, keeping Justin Fields upright, doing the thing, man. I know it's trench work, it's dirty work, but it makes a difference when you have a stud. Excuse me, when you have a stud like that.
You know
So
what?
yeah,
Before you give your number 1, I just want to hit you, JT. He's very engaged, and that's the best part of smaller channels. We got 10 people here on YouTube watching. It means that anything you say that is logical, rational, or that you feel, put it in the chat, and we're going to respond to it. And for that reason, I just want to like demonstrate. JT says his list, and I want to throw it at you before you give your final top guy. JT's is number 3, AZ Thomas. And he says the reason why is that he believes before that bye week, and we saw that bye week at the bottom of the first column of games, so like week 9 or so, AC Thomas is going to be starting alongside Sauce before the bye. I like it. Let me just go to his 2 and 1, and then if you want to chime in. Number 2, Justin Fields. I think he's in for a great season. A lot better than people think 4,000 all purpose, 30 all purpose touchdowns. Sounds like a lot. It's not even to a game, so it's doable. And then number 1, Reynolds. Ooh, that's a hot take. I like that, JT. He's going to be the clear number 2 receiver. Some crucial touchdowns and a nice part of the pass game. Daniel, I want your thoughts. AZ Thomas, Fields, Reynolds, and JT's reasons why. What say you?
Well, first of all, props to you, Dane, for just mind auto correcting that propel to people because I was lost. I was like, propel 1,000, 4,000 all per. I was lost in there, and you just nailed it. You have autocorrect in the brain. Anyway, shout out JT. Love the list, man. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm going to start with 3, AZ Thomas. I have not fully bought in on AZ Thomas. I know we've heard a lot of hype. We've seen breakdowns of his college film and stuff. I got to see it in the NFL first, okay? Let me see a few games before I buy in. Give me at least 3. And if him getting some snaps in there and he's, doing his thing, all right, then I can buy in. I'm not there yet. Justin Fields, I'm not there either. We discussed this earlier. He hasn't proven it yet. We haven't seen enough to believe that he can actually do that. I hope so. God, because that's what you need. You need a quarterback, right? I gotta see him be able to do it consistently. You can say he got screwed by the Bears and the Steelers took him out of the game after he was performing decent, and it wasn't they shouldn't have started Russ. Whatever. I haven't seen enough of him as a passer for me to fully believe that he is 100% a starting quarterback in this league. Worthy of that. Like, I feel like he's a fringe guy, and that's probably going to be his career, jumping around, being a fringe guy, team to team. And I hope I'm wrong because, Jesus, can we just have a young quarterback that we can have for another 15 years and be like, hey, we don't need to draft a quarterback, we're good. Wouldn't that be so nice? And then
It would be nice.
And then for 3 might be the one I might agree with most. I did think about Reynolds a little bit. I like Reynolds. But I'm looking at him as a very boom or bust guy. I think he has the potential to take that number 2 position. And I think that this coaching staff does like him a lot. But I'm very trepid about him because his last few years have not been impressive, right? It kind of looks like that's where he's at now with his career, and I hope that's not the case. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where we go. But either way, good list, bold list. I will give you that. I think that's a bold list. And if those 3 guys are big factors on this team, on the success of this team, and they're performing like JT believes they will, we're going to have a fun season, dude. We're going to have a really fun season this season, honestly, because that covers up a lot right there.
Damn straight, man. If AZ Thomas pops, that means the secondary is going to be all right. And if the other 2 pop, that means our passing game is going to be all right, or at least our offense can function. Yeah, dude. He picked some guys that are polarizing and definitely people aren't high on. Murph, are you ready for your number 1? We'll go your number 1. We'll go my number 1, and then I have someone who may have a list of his own.
Okay. So number 1, you hinted at this the whole time. I think you're almost baiting me into doing it. With little mind control tactics over there, you bastard. I did. I couldn't help it. I had to choose one. I think a huge factor on this team will be a coach. And obviously, all the coaches are factors on this team. I think they all are. But I think that Chris Banjo, the special teams coordinator, is going to be a huge factor on this team's success. We have brand new kicker, brand new punter, very likely a brand new kick return and punt returner. It's all brand new. He's got to do his job. If he does his job and he gets these boys in line, and we have a 82% field goal percentage, and we're netting 45 yards on our punts with 15 inside the 20, and we have a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown, plus a pretty high average on our returns. Hey, that makes a huge freaking difference on our team, and I think that if he pulls the plug on he who must not be named as our returner, that alone makes a huge impact on the team. So Chris Banjo is one of my big factors on this team's success this year.
I love it, sir. JT also a big one. I like that choice. You know what? I was not baiting you. I was not, because I honestly I was thinking that Engstrand and Wilkes would be the big guys, because like if you were a strong believer in one or the other, they could really impact things. But who can raise the floor higher than Banjo? Man, our special teams was putrid. I love it, dude, and that's a worthy candidate of number one. So kudos, good choice. So again, you're 3-2-1.
Three. Oh, you asked me too fast. It was
I know Cisco.
Cisco was 2. Who was? Jeez Louise, you asked me too fast. I've completely lost it.
I couldn't remember your 3 either.
Quincy. Okay, it was Quincy Williams, Andre Cisco, Chris Banjo.
JT loves your number one choice, as does Chris B. He says, great choice, special teams, baby. My choices, again, just to reiterate, was my 3 was Stone Smart. And I've outlined why if you want to roll back about 15 minutes. My number 2, AVT. So those are my 3 and my 2. My number 1, Michael Clement. No, I'm just kidding. I thought about it because I'm like, everybody's penciling Jermaine in for 17 games. But then I thought to myself, well, just because Clemens is getting the chance doesn't mean he's going to perform.
I might have quit this show as a co-host.
This one is going to be perceived as a hot take. In my eyes, it is. My number one choice for a guy who is going to impact games the most in a more positive way than people can foresee at this moment. It counters JT's list directly. It counters even some takes I've had in the past. But the more and more I sit down and think about it, when it comes to this structure, these rules, he is a top candidate when I think of it like this. My number 1 is Brandon Stevens. And I'm going to tell you why. Hey, our takes are allowed to evolve over time, right? They got to, because as new information presents itself. But anyways, you know how it goes. Here's my reason why. Free agency started on March 12th. When did we get Brandon Stevens? March 13th, man. One of our very first signings of a new regime. We said, no, we're not going to get DJ Reed, 18 mil for this year or whatever. We're gonna just go a tick or two below, but we also went and we identified Brandon Stevens, and we've all talked about it. Why was he bad in Baltimore? Most likely because they were using him a heavy zone. Blah blah blah. We're gonna use him in press man coverage, and like then we all kind of sat back and we're like, are we just looking at it with our green glasses, like Scott mentioned earlier? So like the ebbs and flows of this signing is just insane. For me, I'm ebbing back. I'm ebbing back because it was literally the very first or the second signing this regime made. And it is a bit of green glasses because I'm leaning on their judgment, but also like Az Thomas, JT, he was a rookie. Like he is a rookie. He was just in college last year, and you want him to come in and play across from the guy that gets the least targeted damn near in the whole league. Meaning, throw a rookie on the other side and send 6, 7, 8 targets a game at him, and he'll be better than a guy who just made 23 million guaranteed in free agency on day 2 of free agency, mind you. That to me is green glasses. And I had those green glasses on, but now I'm looking at it like Brandon Steven, he's got the job. He has to lose it. He's also going to be in a strong secondary. He's working with a staff that's great with corners. He does need some shit shuffled, but the pieces are there. The traits are there to be a great corner. These guys identified him. They went and took him. They let a Pro Bowl corner walk for a few more $1 million a year when we have millions sitting around just being burnt. They had to want him. They're going to know how to use him. They're not going to bench him. He's making 23 guaranteed the next 2 years. He's at least here for 2. For that reason, I think he's going to be a huge factor, and I'm putting my faith in the staff who is putting their faith in him. Is that too much of a stretch for you, Murph? Talk to me. And did I blow your mind with that choice?
Listen, I was blown away, but more so because I thought you were more on the AZ Thomas train, and hey, Thomas the train. Anyway,
the marathon, not a sprint, though.
Yeah, and I thought you were dug in on that, but I'm with you. Honestly, I am. Like I said, I haven't bought in on the AZ Thomas thing. I think that I've made that fairly clear. I got to see it. I'm not saying I'm hoping the kid's great. I really am. I need to see something of him in the NFL doing it, because it's a different ball game, man. NFL and college, different ball game. So Brandon Stevens, he's a vet, dude. He's been doing this stuff for a minute. He played on a championship caliber team with the Ravens, right? And was starting. You can say that he didn't have a great year or whatever, but I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't mean he can't have a great year. That it just, whatever. He's got what we're looking for in a corner. We have a coaching staff that, as you said, is good with corners. Like our freaking head coach was an excellent corner for us. So I could see a world where he could have an excellent year, man. Especially if our pass rush is hitting. If JJ and Will McDonald and Quinnen all stay healthy, knock on wood. I could see a world where he's fucking killing it out there, man. So I don't know. I just like I need to see AZ Thomas show me something good. I need Brandon Stevens to show me something bad with the Jets, right? So as of right now, that is our CB2, and he very well may earn that this year, and he may earn that paycheck this year. There's a reason they gave him that money, like you said. And it's like you said, this whole thing was Jets who will play, or Jets coaches, players, whatever, who will play a larger role than expected this season. I can't see much of a role being larger than being the opposite corner of Sauce Gardner, as you said, who is one of the least targeted corners in the NFL. Yeah, that's a pretty big role, man. You're going to get thrown at a lot, you know.
You know what? And so many are predicting AZ Thomas is going to start by midseason that like just Stevens holding on to the job all season and not being putrid is probably like a very high rise in stock. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm not expecting like a Pro Bowl year out of the guy, but if we get a solid year, if he's not horrendous, getting thrown at that much, because he's going to get thrown at a lot. If he's not horrendous and he's making some plays here and there, maybe he comes up with a couple picks and he has, a good couple handfuls of pass deflections. Yeah, he might let one or two up here or there. Man, that would be excellent. That would be incredible.
You know who could help him?
Role, like you said, he's a large factor.
Your number 2 could help him a lot.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Facts. All right, we kept this guy waiting, and we can digest our top 3s again after this guy comes on and off. But I don't want to keep him waiting any longer. Okay. He's given us great calls the last couple months, and I think he's going to do it again tonight, folks. Again, while we're here, spike the like. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 500. We were at 422 last week. What are we at now, Chad? I have no idea. Have we gone up from 422? I hope so. But if not, hey, hit that bell. Anyways, without further ado, the guy who talked to us last week, I believe, about having a job interview. Let's see what he has to say. Without further ado, the one, the only, Charles Gorman.
Hello, everyone. Unfortunately, I didn't get the job, but they did tell me that they will keep an eye out in case anything opens up.
Hey,
well,
that ain't no problem, man. There's several people that apply for that. Several people will apply for a lot of jobs, so you can't expect to get every one that you apply for and you get an interview with. So, not a big deal. Look at it as experience. Interview experience, getting used to sitting in front of somebody, being asked those type of questions and things like that. And you just keep rolling, Charles. You're a good dude. You're going to do fine.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Now, as for these selection of fine chaps that may have a big impact in our team, I have 4 actually. 4.
Okay. Could you put them in 4 first and then go up?
Yeah, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, no problem, man. Number 4 is Tanner Angstrom. I think this is a no-brainer because our offensive coordinators have been shitty for quite some time. And people say, we're going to bring this scheme from this team, and how it's been implemented has been atrocious. I don't care what scheme from what team we're running, as long as, excuse my language for all the young kids that are watching, I don't want the fucking thing to work. I want a scheme to fucking work. I'm sick and tired of watching garbage on offense. I'm sick and tired of this shit. And I'm not going to say Tanner Angstrom is on the hot seat if it sucks. But what I will say is people say, oh, he appears in the meetings, he puts in his input. That's fine. Do I think he can be a good offensive coordinator? Absolutely, I think he can be. But the proof is in the pudding, as we all said. And we got to watch it. Hopefully, the coaching, I pray to God Almighty that our coaching is a leaps and bounds better than the last 2 regimes. Because the coaching from the last 2 regimes were
Yeah.
Number 3, I am going to say I thought about this, but I have to agree with Daniel Murphy here. I got to go with Andre Cisco. Now, this guy was a very talented ball hawking safety from Syracuse. I got to watch the Syracuse highlights. I did watch highlights from Jacksonville. He did show a lot of potential, but last year was a bad year for him. That's because of the change of the defensive scheme, and it didn't really benefit his skill set. I think Andre Cisco will rebound with his defensive staff. Obviously, Aaron Glenn was a great corner for us for many years. He was the best cover corner prior to Darrelle Revis. Steve Wilkes, I think, is an excellent defensive mind. I think he's very underrated. Loved what he did with the 49ers in 2023. And they said, oh, you're too aggressive. We're firing your ass. And they bring in this new guy, and their defense sucks. Unbelievable. And plus, when Steve Wilkes was the defensive coordinator for the Browns, Myles Garrett was having a career year before getting suspended because of that incident with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know what? He's got pieces too, man. Like our cupboard is not bare.
Exactly. We got talented pass rushers. We still got Quentin Williams, who I think is being underappreciated by a lot of Jet fans. They're thinking, oh, he's like next to Muhammad Wilkerson. After he signed that big contract, he made a second straight All-Pro selection. What the hell are we talking about here? So that's number 3 for Andre Cisco. Number 2, this is going to be a super hot take. I know a lot of Jet fans were pissed at this pick. From what I've been hearing, he's improving somewhat, and that's Arian Smith. We need speed on this team, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Speed kills.
Yep. Facts.
Because I remember when the Eagles used to have freaking Deshaun Jackson in his prime. He'd be running by some bitches and catching 90-yard touchdown passes. I'm not saying he's like got that kind of speed, but for a hurt, he's got very good speed. He just needs to improve on his route running in his hands. Hopefully he does that. And we could be fine. Now, number 1, I liked him when he was with Detroit. I liked him while he played for Denver. I'm not saying he's like a Brandon Marshall, but he is big like a Brandon Marshall, and that's Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds. Okay. Now, the reason why I say Josh Reynolds, even though he's not like a big name receiver like a Keenan Allen or an Amari Cooper, but he does have a nice pair of hands. He is a team player, which is what I want on this team. I don't want no divas. I can't stand that shit.
Same.
He got a good pair of hands. He's a good route runner. He uses his body very well when it comes to boxing out defensive backs and stuff. I think he's going to have a big role this year in terms of his production, in terms of his – not just in terms of his talent and production, but in terms of, like, hey, passing on his wisdom. Like, I know Garrett Wilson's an amazing wide receiver, but I think he can learn a thing or two from Josh Reynolds. He's been in the league a bit longer than Garrett Wilson has. And they go, hey, man, listen, you can do this better. You can do that better. Obviously, he's been taller than Garrett Wilson, but I think he can talk because I'll never forget the Pittsburgh Steelers game. Aaron Rodgers him in the hand, and they bounced off his hands, and they wound up being intercepted. My dad got so pissed. He was like, cut Garrett Wilson. I gave my dad a look like, Dad, are you serious right now? Like, Dad, are you serious right now? He was so pissed at Garrett Wilson in that game. Of course, he cooled off after that, but what I'm saying is that Garrett Wilson, I love Garrett Wilson. He's an amazing player. He's one of the greatest receivers we've ever drafted. But what we bring in these guys, and people forget this. I know Tyron Smith underperformed, but we didn't just bring him in just to plug and play. We brought him in to teach. We brought him in to mentor these young guys. And I think that he taught Olu Fashanu, who I think is going to, if he stays healthy, praise the Lord, he can have a great NFL career, like a DeBrickashaw Ferguson, right? He played 10 years, was awesome, was one of the best left tackles in the league for a number of years. Even though he didn't make a shitload of Pro Bowl and All-Pro selections, he was consistent year in and year out as one of the best tackles in football because of how good he was as a player. And I think, Tyron Smith, who is going to get in the Hall of Fame eventually, but I think him teaching Olu Fashanu, and then we had Morgan Moses, who taught the young guys. as well. Of course, now we got Armand Membu, who, according to Aaron Glenn, I said Alan Glenn, didn't I? I meant Aaron Glenn. Such an idiot. He looks good in training camp, even though Will McDonald's put on, about 15, 20 pounds of muscle, if my memory serves me correctly. And he's beating with his speed. I mean, listen, speed kills. Shit happens, Iron sharpens iron, as they say. And people are like, oh, we're going to have a shitty offensive line. It's freaking practice. They're not putting their pads on yet. And shit happens. I'll never forget when, before he got that really bad injury, Carl Lawson was beating the crap out of Mekhi Becton in practice. Like, he kept running around by that son of a bitch. And, obviously Mekhi Becton didn't turn out the rest of the way. Then, of course, he transitioned to a guard with the Eagles and helped them win a Super Bowl. That's a different story for another time. But what I'm saying is that we need these guys to step up. And Tanner Angstrand to be probably, I know people are going to hate me I know people are probably going to ask for my lynching after this. We need him to be not only a good offensive coordinator, a great offensive coordinator, and probably the best one we've had since the guy who's currently the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and Brian Scheibler. In 2006, Chad Pennington won comeback player of the year. 2008, we had a top 10 scoring offense. 2009, 2010, we had an elite rushing attack. And if my memory serves me, in 2011, we had the number one red zone offense in football. And then after that, we hired some defensive guy, Tony Sperano, to be our offensive coordinator, and that turned to a shit show.
Let me ask you this, Charles, and I don't want to stop you, but I do feel the need to ask. Since you listed Angstrand, Reynolds, and Smith, all key people in our offense / passing game, are you looking at it more so just because the floor is so, like, the expectations are so low? You think that they're just going to really, even if they give us medium, it'll be a good improvement? Or do you actually believe in all three guys, they are going to go above and beyond and outperform what people expect?
I think because people are expecting our passing game to be subpar, I expect our passing game to be right around league average. I'm not expecting Justin Fields to be like Drew Brees or Peyton Manning in 2011 or 2013, where they were throwing for 5,000 yards. If he puts up, when Tyrod Taylor first became a starting quarterback for the Bills in 2015, he put up respectable passing numbers, 3,000 plus yards, 63% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions. If he puts up those kind of numbers for rushing or running, whatever you want to call it, for over 500 yards and scoring 5 or 6 touchdowns while not turning the ball over and handing the ball off to our good running backs in Breece Hall, Brandon Allen, and Isaiah Davis in the backfield. He loves throwing them to them tight ends, man, like Mason Taylor, whether it's Stone Smart or Jeremy Ruckert, whether it's to Garrett Wilson or Josh Reynolds or Arian Smith. I hope so too, JT. I think he will, but we got to prove it at this point. We can't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, he's going to be great," and the thing ends up blowing up in our faces. Like, I'm sick and tired of that shit.
Charles, let me ask you a question that comes from the chat. Cut one, Corley or Gibson?
I think that's a no-brainer.
I would cut Gibson.
Adam
I don't have nothing against the guy.
Charles knows ball.
I don't have anything against Gibson. He seems like a cool ass dude, but he hasn't really done much offensively. And other than that Bills game where he returned the winning kickoff for a punt return for a touchdown, he's been meh on special teams. So he's a nice young man. He's talented, but he hasn't cut it. I know people don't like people calling Corley a bust because I think the coaching staff, and I know Denzel Mims wasn't good that well, didn't last that long with us either. I think it was the coaching staff being a bunch of dicks and incompetent motherfuckers. Because Denzel Mims, believe it or not, was having some pretty decent success under that damn fool that shall not be named, unfortunately, and Adam Gase. And then we bring him over to the new regime, and they really put him out on the fucking field. So hopefully, I do think this coaching staff, which I also hope too, will be a lot more intelligent and competent and responsible. And I do think we will have a good defense. I believe in Steve Wilkes. I believe in Aaron Glenn. I mean, he was a very good player for us. Obviously, being a very good player and being a very good coach are two separate things. But if he could be one of those guys and say, hey, he was a very good player and he was a very good coach. I mean, look at Dan Campbell. He played in the NFL and he's a very good coach. Sean Payne played in the NFL, even though he wasn't good. He's a great coach. Look at Jim Harbaugh. He was a decent quarterback and he's a great coach in the NFL and in college. So if you can, sorry, I hate when I start like this. If you can set a standard like, hey, just like you learn from legends like a Bill Parcells to learn like, hey, you can be like how to be a coach, because my father, who I consider to be a very wise man in my life, said to me that great players don't always become good coaches because they lack patience. They expect everyone to be a superstar. Aaron Glenn wasn't necessarily a superstar, but damn it, he was a good player. And Bill Parcells, was patient in his development. He was patient in his play style, and it paid off very well. Aaron Glenn had great seasons. Hell, some people said my father believes to this day that Mo Lewis had his best years under Parcells, even though he was a great linebacker for so long. Even though a lot of his Jet fans want to massacre him for that hit on Drew Bledsoe.
I don't, and I'd just like to get that out there, man. I started watching this team in '97, man, and I've seen many years of Mo Lewis that had nothing to do with him hitting Bledsoe. But what I will say is he hit Drew so hard. He just bled so much he couldn't play the next
Oh, that's
week.
what I heard about that. I heard he beat the shit out of him. No, Mo Lewis was a beast. No, I think he deserved. I'm not saying he should be in the Hall of Fame, but even though he's had a great career, I think he should be in the Jets Ring of Honor. If the Jets don't put him in the Ring of Honor, what did he sell the fucking team? You're a douchebag.
Dude, you go back and you look at that depth chart in the late '90s, dude, and it's just littered with names from my child. They're just
James Farrier,
lore.
even though he mostly had a great career. James Farrier, people think,
Marvin Jones.
Yeah, he was good too. But James Farrier, I think, should be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, I know he had a great career with the Steelers, but he was good with us. It's not like he sucked with us. I know. And it's funny. I looked up James Farrier's career. He was with the Jets. He was mostly utilized as an outside linebacker. His best year with the Jets was in 01. We had over 100 tackles. Then when he went to the Steelers, he was put in his natural position as a middle linebacker, and he really excelled there. I think he was a great player. I think he's probably one of the more underrated, underappreciated middle linebackers of all time. I think he's an all-time great and a Hall of Fame. But that's just me. I'm just saying my piece. I love me some James Farrier. I thought he was a great linebacker. So, and also, plus the Steelers have had a history of great coaches, from Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin.
Charles, you've cooked so much on this call. I feel the need to ask you a bonus question, and I don't want to put you on the spot. So if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But I want to ask Murph the same thing after getting, your calls over. The question I have for you is: we just talked about guys whose stock we feel are going to rise the highest throughout this season. I want to ask you the opposite.
Whose stock I think is going to be the lowest?
Who is going
to?
Well, his stock's real low. I'm saying who we're thinking is going to do good this year, but then they don't.
Fuck. That's a good question. I don't think it's going to be Garrett. I sure as hell don't want it to be Brees. I love me some Brees. Maybe Isaiah Davis. I like the young man. He's got skills. He's got talent, but I think it's going to be him. That's all I got, fellas. Look,
I like it, man. Great call. Go
beautiful
ahead,
dog, by the way. I love me some dogs. You know, it's funny. I went to with a couple of members from my group. We went to PetSmart. I pet some cats today. They were beautiful as hell. I mean, I'm more of a dog person, but I have a soft spot for cats too. The dogs are like, woof woof. What about chopped liver? Have a good day, guys.
Hey, thanks, Charles. Good luck with your next interview, brother.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one, buddy.
Dude, another banger at a Gorman. Before he leaves, I want to make sure he hears that, man.
I wonder what I was going to ask him, and I never got around to it. What his shirt was about? It was Project something, and I was curious if it was like a charity. Whatever it was, I was going to ask him. And I was going to donate to it, but I'll get a hold of him later about it.
You like that Bledsoe joke.
That was bad, and you should feel bad.
That short is going to be viewed by millions. No, no, I heard that joke way back when, man, and it was bad then, but it stuck with me because it's just, I really like bad jokes. I don't know why.
Yeah, I do a lot of the time too, and I've even made that joke in my head and never said it out loud because it was that bad. Just say.
Well, Murph, I want to ask you something. We'll hit the chat here in a minute, but and also, guys, the call-in line is still down there. You can scroll right up and grab it if you have a list of your own. I feel like there's two ways we can go on this next little stint here as we're winding down. Maybe we'll hit both if no one calls in, but if someone does, we'll have to pick one. So, which one would you rather answer first? I want to ask you two things. The first is exactly what I asked Charles there at the end. That's the first option. The second option is are there consulate or honorary mentions that you had for your list that we didn't get to? Maybe even ones that the chat didn't even mention because I know I got a couple. Buy me a minute. Tell me go either direction. Go both if you want. But I'd rather you just choose one, and if no one calls in, we'll hit the other.
Well, the main guy that I felt bad about leaving off my list was mentioned by Charles, and that was Tanner Engstrand. And I think that, I mean, the way you stated it to me in text earlier when we were talking about doing this, was who was going to play a large role, like a larger role than expected. I mean, I don't that's kind of where I got caught up on it. I was like, I mean, yeah, obviously, an offensive coordinator plays a pretty large role, um, but I just feel like it's super, super important if he gets this right, man. Like I was harping about it earlier with Hackett and Keith Carter and the run game and things, and not just the run game, but just in general, like we need a competent offensive coordinator in here, scheming things up, running the right type of plays in the right times for our team, not just our offense, our team to be successful. Engstrand is vital to this team. His role is as large as anybody's on this team. Like it's like him and Justin Fields are like neck and neck with like who's going to make the most impact on this team, good or bad. Like I feel like so. I don't know. Yeah, Engstrand was definitely on. He was in consideration for me. I had a few other guys too, but nobody's super notable though. AVT was somebody I thought about. I know you mentioned him earlier. As you get a donut, I'm jealous. But and a beer. Jeez Louise.
This is the intermission.
Oh, jeez.
The intermission of every week, man. Yeah, I get treats, man. You said Angstran, I think I heard. But let me ask you, like, a factor of it is you believe it gonna happen. Do you think that he can outperform the bar that's been set?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he can. I think if he picked anything up from Ben Johnson, he can.
Dude, and
Yeah.
you just saw a staff with largely the same amount of pieces. Like, I don't know, man. This you said it, Charles said it. Like, this offense has underperformed so much that give us average, and that'll be like a 50% rise in stock. Give us average, man. And if the pass game can't be average, then make the run like just call the plays that are working. Man, that's all we want. Stop putting people in poor positions. And you can't always predict it, but like know your personnel. And I feel like Angstrand coming from Detroit, Glenn coming from Detroit, that's one thing they did extremely well is they knew where to put their guys and when. If we could get even 75% on the dollar of what they did in Detroit, this team will be a lot better. And my goal is just can you win more than the Zach Wilson era did? Because like I do think our ceiling is 9 wins, 9-8, but like can you get to 8-9? Even 7-10, and I could look at it with green glasses and say that's a win in the first year of a regime after you won 5 games to win 7. Under 7, and I'm not happy.
Yeah, I'm not mad at under 7 though because I expect under 7. I expect 5 or 6. You know, now I probably am mad at like 1 or 2. You know, I'm extremely concerned at 1 or 2, but at 5 or 6, I'm like, that's about where I figured it was going to be. You know,
You sure you wouldn't rather have 1 or 2 than 7?
Now that's a different conversation. I'm just talking about the team's performance and how I feel about it. I cannot be like pro tank. I struggle to be pro tank. I have to not watch the games in order for me to be pro tank. If I watch the games, I cannot root for them to lose. I want to watch them win. I want to watch them go out there and kick ass. So,
in order to get the number 1 pick, the next 8 months are going to be absolute agony. I can't root for the tank either because we lost 12 games last year and it was abysmal, man. I can't do that again, and I don't want to.
I'd rather watch them win 7 and trade up for whatever fucking quarterback they want. Like, give up the fucking house. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'd rather us be competitive now, have a solid team, and do whatever it takes to get the guy. You know?
I had that up on screen, Scott, and I didn't even know what it said. I should be careful what I'm clicking down there. Good one, though. I like it. Hi, Hayes. Yeah, Hayes brought me some refreshments. Appreciate you there. Another moderator on the channel. Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to give a consolation, and I am blown away that nobody in the chat or up here on screen picked a running back. Talk to me there.
Sure. I thought for sure you were going to bring up Braylon Allen or Isaiah Davis. And I'm not going to say I avoided them for that reason because I picked the guys that I really thought, those are my 3 guys. But I was 150% expecting you to go with one RB2 or RB3 like for this team.
My number 1 probably should have been Isaiah Davis, but then I thought to myself, I've already made a big spiel either here or elsewhere how I think that he's going to end the year as RB1. And I just thought it would be too boring to hear me do another spiel about the same damn thing. But I do believe he or Braylon will carry the torch the second half of the season. And you might say, "What? How the hell do you figure that? We have a Brees Hall, baby." Well, yeah, you're new here. Hit the subscribe button. No, dude, trade deadline, that's an option. Also, success running in between the tackles in a run-heavy offense, that's another. And also, like, we need pass catchers. Brees is one of our best. Why don't we just throw him out there more and let the young kids eat up the middle? Those are 3 options on why I think that Brees may not lead this team in carries, especially after Halloween.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get on board with your running back talk, but I do respect somebody standing by his position, and that's why I think you should have chose one of those guys for one of your factors. I think you should have just locked
I
in,
should
dug your feet
na-
in,
nailed
and
it home.
this is who I am.
Yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah.
the danger zone. Uh, and we talk about RB2 and 3 like they're, the best thing since sliced bread. Anyway, I'm not hating on Braylon Allen or Isaiah Davis. I think they're both excellent backs. Well, maybe not excellent, but they're worthy for sure. I don't know where else I was going to go with that.
Okay. Well, I also toyed. Let me throw another honorable mention out there. Not one I have to talk about for 5 minutes, but I considered Quinnen, and I'll tell you why with a graphic. And I should have got to this earlier, but I just remembered I had it. This is something I don't agree with. This is something that I might agree with 2 years from now. But I ask you, Murph, is this number justified, reasonable, or something you agree with? Talk to me. And even a subtle change to it is accepted. Where are you at with Quinnen Williams being ranked 87th best player in the NFL going into 2025?
Okay, so I'm going to look this up real quick. How many players are in the NFL? And I'm sorry to do this on camera. There are 1,696 active players in the NFL. So I'm going to tell you that, yes, Dane, that actually is reasonable. Quinnen had a good year last year. He did not have a great year. He did not have the year that we saw that got him paid, that we're hoping to see every year. That's a lot, man, to see that type of year. That's I mean, for him to do that 3 times in his career will probably put him in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? As long as he doesn't completely bottom out the other years. So that I just wanted to make it clear that, like, when he did that a couple years ago when he got paid, that was one of the ups, because every player has, I've talked about this before, it's a roller coaster. Their career is like, you never know. So that was one of his peaks, and he came down a little bit, but he will peak again, right? To be within the top 100 players of the NFL is an absolute honor. Like, I think that makes you a great player, if not elite, So I'm not upset about this. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it. I would have him a little bit higher, of course, but I'm also a Jets fan. So I probably do have the green goggles on a little bit. I don't think it's crazy for him to be 87, but he's still within the top 100 whenever he didn't necessarily have his greatest year. He had a good year, but he's still respected enough to be within the top 100, and he's not 100. 87. I think that's all right.
You know what I would just to play devil's advocate, because I don't agree with it, but I'm not enough off where I think he should be to where it's like a solid take. I would probably have him at like 80. You know what I mean? And I'd have to see the DTs ahead of him. But I did want to hear your thoughts on it, and I don't disagree with you. What I would ask you though is if you put him on the Eagles, or you put him on the Chiefs, or you put him on the Steelers, or you put him on Baltimore, is he still the number 87 player for you? And let me just throw this caveat out there. This isn't 87th last year. This is 87th guy for this coming year. Talk to me.
My initial take on this is that if he's with like any of those teams, that he would have more exposure, potentially make more plays, and be an absolute stud. Um, but the more I think about it, the more I don't know that that's the case. Because you have other playmakers on those teams. On the Steelers, he's got to contend with Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt. You know, yes, he's impacting. He's probably creating pressure and stuff, but T.J. Watt's probably getting there quicker than he is. You know, I don't know. I think that I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, you know, he's got to divvy up the goods amongst all the other stars with those
You,
teams.
you know
Right
what would
now,
help though?
competing with
Good.
right now he's competing with Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, and not shitting on our players, guys. I think they're good players. You guys know, I'm a Will McDonald fan, and I do respect Jermaine Johnson too, but they are not elite, right? They are not like that next level T.J. Watt, uh, Miles Garrett type guys and stuff. And you see those guys on those elite teams. You know, you see Chris Jones on the Chiefs. You see whatever. So yeah, I don't know that he'd be much higher. Maybe a little bit, but not much.
What's up, Jace? How's it going, buddy? Sorry for stealing your dad.
Ready? All right. Jets, Jets. All right.
Hey, awesome. The only thing I would ask, just again playing devil's advocate, because I'm right there with you. I'd probably have him I would have him 75 to 90. Um, is and like you said, with the good teams, he probably would make more plays. I think the biggest thing that would help him, and this is my bottom line, regardless how it impacts things, I think if he were to have a dominant performance in mid-January or late January, even one damn time, I think it could catapult him into damn near 50. Nobody sees him in the playoffs, man. Nobody sees him just killing games himself. Can we get him to January and just say, bro, just an offensive center stands in your way of being a legend like Aaron Donald? Can we give him that opportunity? That's all I ask. Right now, he's being asked to fight triple teams, double teams every damn play, and even if he's successful, to win 5 games a year. Dangle the carrot, bro. 4 quarters and we're going further. We can never do that. So I would love to see him on a good team, and I'm hoping that good team is eventually in gangrene, man.
Hey,
Just sad.
that's an excellent point, Dane. The best players show up in the biggest moments, right? And I think Quinnen has the opportunity. He hasn't had the opportunity, but he has the ability to be one of those guys. And I think that if you did dangle that carrot in front of him, if he had that chance, he could make a name for himself. Because I think there's still people all around the world that don't know who Quinnen Williams is, like football fans, because he plays for the New York Jets, right? I think if we were in the playoffs, he would be showing up and showing out and telling people hey, I'm the new Chris Jones, okay? I'm the dude that these teams are scared of, and I'm going to get a sack every fucking playoff game, if not more than 1, 2, 3, whatever. I'm going to disrupt this damn game. I think that Quinnen Williams could do that, but we can never fucking get him to the playoffs, and that's what the problem is.
Dude, like one time, man. One time I want to see it because right now, too many people, and these are usually NFL players who are asked to vote on this shit. Too many can think to themselves, that dude got 100 million. He's overrated. I'm not going to put him in my top 100. But you go out in a standalone primetime game and it's, you know, January 20th and you just wreck it because you're playing a team that hasn't played you all year. That's how you really cement your ranking on this list. So yeah, I'm with you. You've brought me back to earth a bit. Like I said, I might have had him 10 rungs higher. Maybe not, because there is still the possibility he is overrated. And until we see otherwise, we can't really say for sure without wearing green glasses.
Hey, just to be clear, I'm not I'm not saying that Quentin Williams is overrated. And
No,
actually, if
that's
you
me.
asked me where I thought he would have been on the top 100, I would have said about around 75. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, Dane. I'm just saying that the perspective of Quentin Williams right now will have him around where he's at. And
Yeah.
it's still an excellent to be in the top 100 is a huge deal, guys. That's where I was really trying to get at. Like him at 87 is a testament upon itself. You know,
You said there's how many players in the league? Like 2,000?
it's almost 1,700. It's just shy of 1,700.
Think of it this way, though. Like if every team, there's 32 teams, if every team had three candidates, their top three players in, that's 96. He's higher than that.
Yes.
And he, I don't know whether he's a top three Jet right now is a whole nother show we could do sometime when we have nothing to do. I do want to get your rankings there.
I
But
would say he is, but yeah, go ahead.
Sauce, Garrett, and him.
Well, it's Sauce Quentin, I guess Garrett, yeah.
You guess. All right, see, a whole nother show, man.
See, listen, all right, no, we'll get into it real quick. We'll get into it. Garrett Wilson, we have talked about him being elite, and I freaking love Garrett Wilson. I love his character. He's from freaking Ohio State. I want him to go off for 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns this season. Really do. But based on what we've seen, that's not going to happen. Okay, guys? He is just barely scratched 1,000 yards every season. He got 1,100 that one season, whatever. Or maybe this past season. I don't remember. Elite wide receivers get you 13 to 1,500 yards a season. I'm sorry. And they get you 10 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns. He's gotten us like 5, roughly, give or take a couple. Come on, he's just not, he hasn't taken that step yet. And you can blame the quarterback. You can blame the offensive coordinator. And you have some merit when you say that. But guys like Terry McLaurin and stuff, they still make it happen, right? They haven't had perfect situations, although Terry McLaurin had Jaden Daniels last year. But prior to that, it's been a little weird out there. I can't put Garrett Wilson in that elite wide receiver category. He's a good to great wide receiver, not elite. He is not Justin Jefferson. He's not Jamar Chase. He is not on their level. Until he can prove that he can do that, I can't put him in that league, man. I haven't seen him go off for 250 freaking receiving yards like Jamar Chase did like 3 different fucking times last year. Like, I got to see something like that out of him, and I haven't.
You know what? I didn't mean to appear like I wasn't listening. I was pulling a stat because it's one that irks me and it lined up exactly with what you were saying. So needless to say, I was listening and I was vibing to it. And that's my biggest knock on Garrett is he does not win over the top very often. And I can't say it's entirely his fault because we've seen him open over the top occasionally. But also, here's a stat for you. And Murph, I might have mentioned this to you before, but we've never mentioned it on the show. So I just want to throw it out now because it really cements what you just said. And the number, it's a number, and the number is 3.64. And just gut feeling right off the bat, do you know what this number means?
We'll take a guess. Yards per target.
Yeah, that's not a bad guess at all. But 3.64 is how many games it takes Garrett Wilson to score one touchdown. Thoughts on that stat, man?
That's kind of where I'm getting at. I focused on the yards a little bit more when I was ranting a second ago, but the touchdowns are even worse. You see guys, and anybody that plays fantasy football probably knows this, but you see guys like Jamar Chase and stuff getting like 3 touchdowns in a game. That's over half of what Garrett gets in a season.
3.64 is so bad.
That's not great, man. And look at it's a wheeze. Sorry, my cats are wilding out over here. So you got to see that number come up. He's got to make those plays. You can argue about the offense and the coordinators and the quarterback and all this and that, but like some of it comes back on him too, man.
It really does, man. And it's just like same with Quinnen, Garrett, Brees. Like, dude, we saw them all underperform last year, and we just all want to see them showcase your ceiling, man.
Yeah.
Can 2 out of 3 of you hit your peak this year? Because if so, it'll really change the course of this year. But Murph, we're heading to the third hour. I might hit a few chats, but I'm gonna let you go now if that's cool. And maybe Yeti or something will wrap me back in for 15 or something. But I don't want to hook you for that long. So let me ask you this: we hit a few different things tonight, several different oddball shit. But like next week, again, we might have a guest. We're going to be talking camp thoroughly. We might not ourselves get to voice final takes as openly as right now. So is there something maybe you want to talk about final take wise for camp, or do you maybe just want to highlight something that we missed earlier? You have the floor.
I mean, as far as camp goes, we're going to be just getting into it by the time we go next Friday or whatever. There's going to be a lot of talk about it. I mean, one thing that I'm really excited about, and we'll talk a little more on this later, but I really want to see what happens with their safeties, because there's going to be a lot of battling going on there. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll get a little bit more in depth into it and maybe make some predictions. I don't know what we'll do. But yeah, camp, especially this year, in a year where they're shuffling out guys with the old regime, bringing in their own guys. There's going to be some positions that are going to be won by guys that we didn't expect. There's going to be some positions that are just totally up for grabs. So that's the exciting part of this season, because I don't necessarily know that we're going to have a great season, but we're going to start looking towards the future. We're going to start building towards what we're going to look like in Aaron Glenn's picture perfect scheme, right? So that's all I'm going to say is, like, there's something to be excited about as we're going into camp. There's something to be watching for. There's something for us to hang on to, for the next year. And then hopefully the following year, we're actually talking like, hey, we can do this thing. We can get in the playoffs. Like, the base is built now. Like, let's start throwing some walls up and some siding up and get our electrical run, and I like to use a house analogy a lot.
You know what? I don't. The chat did wind down. I think I'll just end it with you, brother, if you have a minute. But I just want to add on to what you said, man. Like, all we want to see is like a stepping stone year where like we can possibly be a fringe wild card team next year. Like we need that. We need to raise the floor. Everybody wants to talk ceiling, and even me, ceiling 9 wins. Like, can we move the floor up to like 6 or 7? Like, if Quinnen goes down or Sauce goes down, we still win 7 games or 6 games. We're competitive in 12. Like, that's the team we need. One where these impact guys we sprinkle in and they take us over the top. Right now, we need the impact guys to even get our floor up to 7 wins, and that's sad. Sad. Because the quarterback position. Yeah, we had a Hall of Famer. We did not get Hall of Fame play and win 5 games. That's the one thing I want to make clear because a lot of people get that twisted. We had a Hall of Famer. We did not get Hall of Fame quarterback play enough. We got it a sprinkling, a dash, not as much as we needed, not enough to do. We competed in a third of games. Terrible. So we just need that, man. Just give us medium quarterbacking and let's see what these core guys can do because they're going to have opportunities this year. Coaching will be huge, says JT. And I have a feeling we have it right. Right is a strong choice of words. And Murph, if you want to chime in, you can. But like, I don't even need it to be perfect. I just need it to be better. What would you say to that?
I need it to be building towards something. That's all. There's got to be a solid plan in place, and it's got to be, eventually it has to be the right plan. But like, even it doesn't have to be a perfect plan right now, but it has to be heading towards that. That's what I need.
And real quick, I want to highlight this because we missed it. Yeti about the Quinnen Williams. He can see the slide in ranking. He understands. He didn't get the sacks and pressures. We know why, but the NFL is a numbers game. Q is still that head cornerstone. And it's all about how you like. Yeah, I mean we've hit this, but like, have we seen Quinnen's best? That's a real question. Or is his best in front of us due to whatever reason you want to? I mean, I'll tell you one thing that jumps right out to me. The old regime never played him more than 64% of the snaps. So, like, maybe it is ahead of him. I don't know. But the chat is starting to pop again, but there's only 4 or 5 on YouTube, guys. So we are going to leave it here. We appreciate you. You're welcome to stick around the chat for a few minutes and chop it up. I'm going to hit the outro. That'll buy you a couple minutes. JT, you were awesome tonight, brother. Very, very salient points. Murph, I think you'd agree with me. But just to keep it rolling, have a good night, everybody. Spike the like button, whether you're here now or you're watching later, spike it, but also subscribe. Maybe share it to someone else you think needs a show on Friday nights. Without further ado, let's go, man. Final free weekend before the Jets are out on that practice field. Later, Murph.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets. We can all be beautiful.
You're in the danger zone.
Put your seatbelts on